Welcome to Haunt Weekly.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jonathan.
I'm Kristen.
And this is Haunt Weekly, a weekly podcast found in the attraction entertainment community. Whether you're an actor, owner, or just plain aficionado, we aim to be a podcast for you. And we return to you this week after an adventure.
Several.
Yeah. Well, you can combine, like, The Lord of the Rings is one adventure, even though it was a lot of little adventures. I think it's allowed to say it's one adventure.
Okay, that's fine.
The chapters. But yes, we've had an adventurous weekend. Finally starting to shake some of those pandemic habits, that encourage us to stay at home and drink lots of yummy beer and play video games at the house all weekend long rather than go do things.
Yeah.
We're trying to get better at doing things. And so we did a lot of things this weekend, and we're going to talk about them because a lot of it had to do with haunting, both us wanting to get inspiration for our haunt and also testing some waters.
Yeah.
So on that note, do take a moment, if you can, follow us where we exist. We're at hauntweekly.com or hauntweekly on Twitter, hauntweekly on Facebook, and youtube.com/hauntweekly's YouTube channel. Every episode we've ever done is there. They're all there, man. Mm-hmm. You can also find us in every episode we've ever done on any place you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, etc., etc., etc. Pay special attention to the Facebook page. We are looking to do more live episodes with guests, and news about that will be posted there. All right. Well, before we get into the adventure, every week we ask a question of the week. Well, almost every week we ask a question of the week. And last week's question of the week was a simple one. Mm-hmm. As a haunt actor, do you prefer mask or makeup? Yeah.
Yeah.
I had expected, based upon the interactions I've had in the industry before, literally this moment, I thought we were fairly evenly split.
Yeah.
I thought this was like a civil war. If it's a civil war, it's apparently a very fucking lopsided one. Because pretty much everyone came out in favor of makeup.
Yeah.
Doesn't work well for me.
Everyone who responded, at least, and, several mentioned that they had glasses issues, including Don Garlic and Greg Packard.
And Sam Farrell. Yeah, a lot of people mentioned, I gotta admit, I did not think about the glasses angle.
Well, I did, because we have our first glasses wearing person inside the haunt.
Yeah.
There are several people who wear contacts, but the first one who wears strictly glasses. And they were last minute addition, and I grabbed a mask, and it was uncomfortable for them.
Yeah, and looking at it, I 100% see why. Of course it was fucking uncomfortable, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So we ended up actually mid-season, which for us is 3 nights, finding something more comfortable for him.
Yeah, basically I put padding inside of it.
Yeah, we rigged something up.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was very, very last minute. I think he was like the day before we opened last minute.
Yeah.
So anyways, So I did not think of that. That is completely fair. Christian Risto says, prefers makeup to avoid the pools of sweat and spittle. And I have made more than a few jokes about how disgusting the inside of my mask is.
Yeah.
He also doesn't like the general feeling of breathing and seeing through tiny slits. And I get that too, though I have to say the seeing part, and that Shattered FX mask we have, seeing is incredibly easy. Because of the way the mask fits and the size of the eye holes, I can see way better than any other mask I've ever had on. Now, we're going to have to work on the ears, because I can't hear shit.
Yeah.
But
that's partly you.
Yeah, that's partly me. But also, the mask does have the tiniest ear holes you can fathom.
Yeah.
I understand that. And Amanda Hughes says she feels it's more of a challenge because some masks are just so scary out of the box.
Yeah. So it's more of a challenge to make makeup look as scary as the mask.
I have seen some scary makeups, though.
I have, too.
Now, that said, there were a few people who, got on the ramparts with me.
Yeah.
Jean Valjean, this shit. Come on, guys, let's go.
Chris Gay was one of them.
Yes.
Likes to be able to take it off and do behind-the-scenes task. Encourage LASIK, though.
Yeah.
Because lost vision for a few months after the procedure, which I believe was also your experience.
No, I did not lose vision.
While.
I did not lose vision. The issue I had after LASIK was I only had one eye done. All my life I've had one eye that was like perfect vision or slightly better than perfect, and one eye that was just eating crayons in the back of the class, just not paying any attention to what was going on. And I eventually gave your encouragement, no less, got LASIK for it. Most terrifying 5 minutes of my life, I'm not even going to lie. And if anyone who wants more details about LASIK, just write me. I'll happily spill all the beans on that and tell you what to look out for. But anyways, I got it. I had perfect vision in that eye the minute I left. I did have the severe dry eye problem. They warn you that's going to happen, and they give you instructions for dealing with it.
Yeah. But
the other problem I had that lasted for months was I had some terrible headaches. And the reason was I had gone so long without glasses or contacts that I was just used to that eye having nothing of value to say. I was basically a pirate without the patch everywhere I go. And so when it starts actually giving useful information, my brain kind of froze up a little bit. And I had crushing headaches, especially when trying to stare at stuff like a computer monitor that was at short to middle distance. I really had trouble. I had headaches, not a loss of vision, though.
Yeah, so the moral of that story...
Make a long story short. Too late.
Is don't do it right before season.
Yeah, and either way, it's a valid point. If it's headaches or if it's vision, either way, it's a valid point. And also,
like December or something.
And also, Derek Muehlberger jumped in to say he agreed too.
Yeah.
Though I think comment of the night may have gone, or comment of the week may go to Rob O'Brien, who said, "In my day, we had faces," which is an homage to Sunset Boulevard, the film. And just in case we didn't get it, he left a gif of it to make sure we understood. All right, so this week's question of the week is once again related to the topic. What is your favorite roadside attraction?
Yes.
Let us know. HauntWeekly.com, HauntWeekly on Twitter, HauntWeekly on Facebook, and YouTube.com/HauntWeekly. Leave a comment.
And favorite could include anything from weirdest to most interesting to holy shit, there's something there we need to stop at.
Yeah, I mean, I would be very curious. We had a friend, well, he's still our friend. It's not like he died or anything, named Kyle, who did this nationwide tour primarily to visit roadside attractions. That was like 90% from what I've gathered of this thing he was doing. He traveled like all the way to Alaska in a car, in a piece of shit car, no less, all over the country, did all this. So I'm going to have to reach out to him see what he says. Yeah. All right, what work did we do on our hunt? The Inspiration Tour. We nailed down our theme some time ago, a little while ago. And basically, here's the thing. Our haunt theme this year is going to have a roadside attraction theme / story. Yeah. The whole focus of it's going to be. We haven't nailed down all the details of the story, but we know this is the direction creatively we're heading. Which, to know that in late March, early April is actually pretty good for us.
Well, and we've known it for a while.
Yeah, and
like I've been building it out in my head and placing scares and shit. We just haven't talked about it together.
Yeah. But here's the thing. We are suckers for roadside attractions.
Yeah.
Like, Ellie being involved with us radically changed the way we handle long-distance trips.
Yeah.
Long-distance trips, if we see a green sign for some weird-ass fucking museum, and we're not in any time rush or we're not super tired, there's probably an 80% chance we're taking that exit at least.
Yeah.
I mean, it's high odds. We have done a lot randomly. And Ellie is the quintessential go, I want to get there, push through, pee in a bottle, all that stuff. She's that way. She's less that way now, admittedly, after 10 years. But she was that. I think
we've balanced each other out.
Yeah. So, So we stop at every little stupid piece of shit thing that seems like it would amuse us. She does not, normally. But but we realized when we were thinking about roadside attractions we'd been to, and sort of saying, it could be a little bit like this or a little bit like that, we realized we had not actually been by the most famous one in the area. We had never made it to the Abita Mystery House.
Yeah.
And the reason is, if you live in New Orleans, getting to the Abita Mystery House is kind of awkward.
Yeah, well, it's hard to get people to cross water. And for this one, you spend a lot of time crossing water.
You spend 23 plus miles crossing water. That's just accurate.
Yeah.
I think the bridge itself is a little bit over 25 miles, almost 26 miles long.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous how big the lake is. And there is a significant portion where you can't see the land behind you and you can't see the land in front of you. you just feel like you're driving over the ocean. That didn't even happen on the drive to Key West.
No. And for reference, this is the Causeway. If you want to look it up.
Yeah. Go ahead, pull up Google Maps now and check it out. It's fucking weird. It's wild.
Yeah, you should drop the link to the map maker who talked about the Causeway in the video game.
Yeah, that was a video game. I'm talking about our area as a video game map, yeah. And the Causeway specifically came up because you can't just put down a straight fucking road across the lake like that. It's stupid. No human would ever do that. You did?
Yeah, apparently we did.
But anyways, we never actually went there, even though we've had recommendations of it. Once again, the friend who did the cross-country road trip mentioned it to us, as did a couple other people.
Yeah, and it's been on a couple of lists of things to do within 100 miles of your area, kind of thing.
Like the one-tank trips.
Yeah, exactly.
100 miles. And it also came up a lot during COVID as a COVID-safe thing, because it was largely outdoor.
Yeah. Now, I'm not sure if I agree with that.
I don't know if I agree with it either. But it did come up a lot in that time.
Yeah.
People were suggesting it as a thing you could do.
Yeah.
But however, before we went to the Abita Mystery House, we had a few other things to do. So we're going to tell the full story of the weekend and sort of crescendo to that. First thing, and this one's directly connected to the haunt. Well, it doesn't sound directly connected, but in our heads it was. You'll see why in a minute. First, we did a pop-up comedy event.
Yeah.
This was so weird. I saw a Facebook post like on Wednesday or something from something called Don't Tell Comedy. That's literally the name of it. And the idea was simple. They were going to have a show in the area.
Yep.
They announced a time for the event, but they did not say where it was going to be. They did say the neighborhood, so we knew we weren't going to be traveling all the way across town.
Right. We knew it was going to be in our neighborhood.
Yeah, specifically, it was going to be in Alger's Point, which if you joined us at Crown and Anchor, that's the neighborhood. And, they did not announce who was going to be performing.
Nope.
We only knew details such as the fact we knew indoor versus outdoor, how handicap accessible it was, and what the food and drink situation was. So we knew it was going to be an outdoor event with limited handicap accessibility, and there was going to be a bar.
Yeah. And that it was going to be 60 to 90 minutes long.
Yeah. And 4 to 6 comedians, and they promised a mix of local and touring comedians.
Yeah.
But we're coming back to that point. But yeah, the idea was basically you get an email at about noon the day before, so about 8 hours before it starts.
The day of.
Yeah, the day of.
Yeah.
Telling you where it's going to be, where to show up, how to get there, where to park, all that crap. And for that, you had to pay $25 per ticket. Blind.
Yeah.
And of course we did, because we're fucking suckers. Because the mystery hooked us.
Yeah, and speaking to people outside waiting to get in, the mystery hooked them too. Because I asked, so did the mystery get you? And everyone said yes.
Yeah, and we even talked to a couple of them at Crown afterward. And we saw we just couldn't resist. It was to see what was going on.
Yeah.
And we couldn't not see. And the reason is, and this is what we discovered when we were discussing buying the tickets, was this is a new kind of FOMO.
Yeah.
Like, fear of missing out is something haunts have always relied upon.
Right.
Because you don't want to miss out on the 2023 season of blank. You don't want to miss out on the Christmas event for the haunt.
Exactly.
You don't want to miss out on these things because you know that once they're closed, it's gone. And theoretically, it's going to change significantly or something's going to happen to it. And that experience is gone. So our industry has relied on FOMO forever. But here, it was not just a fear of missing out. It was a fear of not knowing what we were missing out on.
Right, exactly. Because putting that, that you don't know who's going to be performing, and there are a lot of comedians that come to New Orleans, including several that we've got tickets for.
We got tickets for Louis Black.
Yeah, coming up. Then, anybody could be there. Literally.
Yeah. The show itself was kind of meh.
Yeah.
I've walked away. I mean, there were 5 comedians plus the host, so I guess 6. They counted that way. But
there were 6 comedians, I think.
Okay, but regardless,
anyway.
3 of the comedians. The host was good, and 3 of the comedians were good. The first one, we won't go into details. He died a tragic death on stage.
Yeah.
He misjudged the crowd horribly.
Yeah.
He led in with a joke that was not going to land. That was going to have a tough time landing with his audience ever.
Yeah, went with political jokes and was not in the crowd he thought he was in.
And the other problem with his political jokes was they weren't jokes.
No, they
Like,
weren't.
I've literally, that opener joke he had,
Yeah.
the knock knock, I've gone over it 1,000 times trying to figure out how the fuck that's a joke, and I can't come up with how the fuck that's a joke.
No.
You know what I mean?
Anyway.
So he died horribly. Though, I gotta admit, it's the first time I've been to even an open mic comedy event where someone just totally fucking died on stage.
Yeah.
So that was an event. We were disappointed that the national touring comedian was actually just another local.
Yeah.
Admittedly, a very prominent local comedian. He does a lot of things. They said he opens for Jim Gaffigan.
Right.
I could not find evidence of that. I knew he opened for Louis C.K. So he has opened for big comedians. It may have happened at some point. I just couldn't find it.
Well, and I think Jim Gaffigan either just came to New Orleans or is coming soon.
Yeah.
So it may be for that tour.
Okay. But he is that caliber of comedian that consistently opens for very famous names. He was headlining the show as their touring comic. It felt a little... Oh, that's it?
Yeah, well, so the person right before him I really liked.
Yeah.
And he was the leader of LGBTQ LOL, which is a comedy festival in June.
Yeah, that we're definitely going to make an effort to go to.
Yeah.
Because
we also love stand-up, if y'all didn't know.
Yeah, this is a secret, a not so secret passion of ours of stand-up.
Yeah.
I think, honestly, we open the podcast. If you start a podcast and don't love stand-up comedy, you're doing it wrong. Because, you have to love stand-up to be willing to talk into a fucking microphone for an hour.
And be able to laugh at yourself.
Laugh at your own jokes, man. But yeah, I don't know. But so that was a little disappointing. But at that night, even as we were sitting there at Crown and Anchor after the event, I was like, all in. This is a great idea. We should find a way to incorporate this system into haunts. Maybe they could hold special scary storyteller events. Maybe they could hold micro haunts. You know, there's got to be a way. There's got to be a way we can integrate this in. And I was trying to think about it. But as time has passed, because this was Friday night, and we're recording Sunday night, I'm a little less sold on the idea.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure how you'd be able to incorporate it and keep people interested in not talking.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I guess you could say it's the no-tell haunt.
First rule of Haunt Club.
Yeah.
Don't talk about Haunt Club. No. I was trying to figure out the how, but now I'm kind of worried that even putting the effort into that is a waste.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because I've realized that at some point, every mystery has to be explained. This is a problem in writing, too. This is a problem in movies and video games and all forms of media. But the mystery has to be explained. And then it loses its power.
Yeah.
And like I said, the more we've stepped away from it, the more distance, the more I've kind of just been on the experience. Yeah. It's a cool story.
It is a cool story, and I'm not sure if we'll go again. But we may, especially if we look at who's performing that week in New Orleans in general, and see that, hey, they may have gotten so and so, you know.
Yeah, we this was a very spur of the moment thing.
Yeah.
And now that we kind of know what the deal is, I think that FOMO is going to be much less if it comes back up.
Yeah.
Just because now we've been to one, we know what to expect, we know what they do. You know, I think that's gonna be a problem for this. It's an idea to consider, but I'm hesitant about it personally.
Yeah.
I really think this was an idea I was all in on, both before and immediately after the event, but now I'm just like, yeah, it's probably not worth the mental effort to make it work.
Yeah, because we also tried to talk about how you could build off of the legend of the haunt that has no location until you get an invite, and then it tells you where to show up, and then you're taken to another location. But that gets really complicated really fast.
It gets into logistics. I mean, if you want actual customers,
exactly.
Plural.
Yeah, unless you're like charging an exorbitant amount for it, and then
there may actually be. I mean, before anyone whispers the name McCaney Manor in my presence, I'm not talking about McCaney Manor. But there could be a space, especially in markets like LA and New York City, for that kind of stupid ass high end haunt experience.
Yeah,
where we do stage the kidnapping. We do all these things. Now, of course, we
All
coordinate with the police.
consensual.
All consensual and coordinated with the police and everything else. Where you could do all that and scare the living shit out of someone for a while.
I'm not even talking about kidnapping. I'm just talking about, okay, we're now going to put you on this bus and it's got blacked out windows and we're driving you to a place you don't know where it is.
Yeah. But, you know what I mean? Though, anything. I mean, that type of high-end experience is pretty much impossible to do on any scale.
Uh-huh.
But if someone wants to pay, say, $10,000 for it, then I think I can arrange it.
Okay. So you're saying $10,000 a ticket's what it's going to take.
That's why I suggested LA and New York. There's a reason for that.
Got it.
All right. Well, that was our Friday night, pretty much, summed up.
Mm-hmm.
So Saturday was the day we were going to go to the Abita Mystery House. And the reason we were going to do it then was we had another obligation.
Yeah.
The St. Tammany Collectors Convention. We have a friend who runs a huge booth there. It was genuinely a gigantic booth.
Yeah. Has a lot of toys for sale.
Yeah.
Collectibles.
And he's been trying to get us to go for a couple of years, but it's on the fucking North Shore. We're usually doing other things on weekends.
Yeah.
We didn't want to go.
And we basically made a deal with him, said, you know, if you try to come by the haunt this year, we'll try to come by the toy show. Well, he came by the haunt, so we made the trek up and added a few things on it to make it more valuable for our time.
Because you got to realize, we're talking about at least a 45-minute, probably closer to an hour drive from our home.
Yeah.
To the con.
Just one direction.
Just one direction.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we're going to tack on everything that we can.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a convention for comics, toys, and other collectibles. And I mean, I'm going to kind of move through this pretty quick, other than a few things I do think might actually help haunts and other events. But if you were a Marvel, DC, Star Wars, Star Trek, or pro wrestling fan, you were very well covered. They had all the stuff that you could possibly want. Outside of those fandoms, I might also add Ghostbusters and He-Man.
TMNT.
Oh, and TMNT, yeah.
Gargoyles was...
Yeah, there wasn't only a large amount of gargoyles.
Yeah, but, you know, once I saw the first one, I was kind of on the lookout for them.
But yeah, these are the fandoms they had a lot of.
Yeah.
I only saw one thing from Mystery Science Theater 3000.
And that was an old VHS.
You know, my chosen fandom. And then nothing for, like, Repo, the Genetic Opera. They also didn't have a lot of high-end toys.
Yeah.
Which frustrated us because the two things we were looking for friends are both middle to higher end items.
Yeah.
And they didn't even have the brands there.
No.
Like, let alone exactly the toy they were looking for. But we did look, we did try. The thing we did manage to successfully get was okay, but we're talking about that in a minute. I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm getting a wee little bit ahead of myself. But yeah. Oh, and they had so many goddamn Funko Pops.
Yeah.
I own all the Funko Pops I want or need.
Yes. And there was also Cincy there. Cincy was there.
Oh, of course. There's always... I think it is illegal to hold any kind of convention without at least one MLM.
Yeah.
There's got to be some kind of law, at least here in Louisiana. About
at least Cincy was, putting out good smells to the room.
Yeah, that room needed all the help smelling good it could get, if we're being honest. Because the venue was not ideal, as I was about to jump into. But you were right, Cincy was there, and I have no idea why. But anyways, basically the building was too small, too hot, and too noisy.
Yes. We have heard that they are moving to a larger space next year.
Yeah.
But back to this year.
Yeah. Basically, it was a terrible design for air movement. This made it so that even though the ambient temperature wasn't necessarily that bad, the minute you got in any kind of crowd, you started getting really heated up.
Yeah.
Really hot, very fast. And you had to step away and get some fresher air or step outside even. I think the ambient temperature was fine. There was just no air movement. All of the sound traveled.
Yeah.
This wasn't a very big building. And you could tell they'd done some retrofitting for acoustics. And it has not helped. Not much at all. But yeah, and also at times you didn't feel like you got a choice of where you were walking. You were just kind of being pushed by humanity.
Yeah.
All of this stuff made me really love South by Southwest and the work they do to make their conference and especially their conference floor so easily accessed.
Yeah. Well, and HauntCon and Transworld also had enough walking space in most of the places.
Transworld could have done with some wider hallways, I think. Yeah. HauntCon did pretty well, if I remember. Hunters Against Hate was just cramped as fuck.
It was about like this one.
Yeah, it was about like
the same size space too.
I think Hunters Against Hate was a little smaller, but the idea is there. I think they're
Yeah.
playing the same sport.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah. Also, it was really challenging getting in.
Yeah.
I got
That was
miffed
frustrating.
because we bought our tickets online.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, serious conversation time. Who the fuck isn't buying tickets online, especially in an event where the at-door price is 50% greater than the... And I get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You might not know for certain you're going to be able to go. And I get that might encompass a few people, but it looked like at least 75% of people were buying tickets at the door.
Yeah. And that just is insane.
But even with that, we had to wait in the line of ticket buyers because you have to get to a point where they separate you out.
Uh-huh.
And then when they separate you out finally, our line, even though it was shorter, moved way slower.
Yeah, because there was only one person taking the VIP and
prepaid,
purchase.
prepaid tickets.
Yeah.
Only one person. And they had 4 people handling on-site ticket sales.
Yeah. And no, it should be like movie theater where, you've got the 2 lines and you pull the people out of the ones who bought first or bought VIP, spent more money because you don't know why they're in that line. What
they could have done, honestly, was have someone with the reader and some of the wristbands.
Yeah.
Just walking the line that was outside and saying, "Hey, raise your hand if you're prepaid," and just doing it right there.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
That'd have been nice. They didn't do that. So it took forever to get in. They are, like you said, rumor is they're moving. Hope that's the case. We did pick up an autograph from the Red Ranger for our son-in-law.
Yeah.
Neither of us were Power Rangers fans.
Mm-hmm.
But our son-in-law is. So, yes, we absolutely got him the Red Ranger's autograph. We got a book.
Very nice guy.
Oh, incredibly nice.
So sweet.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. And we told the story that Ellie tells us about Shawnee, about how he believed he was the Red Ranger.
Yeah.
And kept wondering what he was doing on the television.
Yeah.
Which, that's kind of weird, but whatever. Kids are weird, That's
a little further than I took any of my obsessions as a kid.
But regardless, he did eventually learn he's not the Red Ranger.
Yes.
He did figure it out. I don't think he's in his 20s. I'm still thinking it.
No.
But we told that story and he laughed and said, yeah, there's another kid in a Red Ranger outfit that thinks he's the Red Ranger too. And we all had some good laughs. So he was a great guy. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we got that. We also got a book from a local author.
Yeah.
We also just got various odds and ends. You picked up most things.
Yeah, I picked up a couple of crocheted items so that I could get the card to give to Ellie, so that she could make connections. But it's a cute little dragon.
Yeah, crochet dragon.
Yeah, it's really cute. And we looked, there was a whole booth of Nightmare Before Christmas memorabilia, most of which I had never seen. It was really hard not to buy out the booth, but I did not.
Yeah. Maybe wait till after we do our taxes.
Well, no, it's mainly because I am now conscious of the space that I have left to put things. And if I don't have a specific space available, I'm not going to buy it.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's the way I have to think about my collectibles.
And the truth is, we're not really big collectors.
No.
And part of that is because even without being collectors, we've accumulated so much stuff.
Yeah.
That we don't feel like accumulating more stuff. We're getting to that age where we're trying to think about how to pare down stuff.
Yeah, that is very true.
We didn't buy that much, and like I said, not really collectors. We were there though to support our friend. And we were there to help other friends try to find things that might have been at that convention.
Yeah.
But anyways, after that, we headed to the Abita Mystery House.
Well, after local lunch, but...
Yeah, local lunch, but you don't need to hear about us eating barbecue.
No.
The barbecue was good.
Yeah.
That's enough said. The Abita Mystery House. Now, I cannot figure out when it opened.
Okay.
I have looked on their site. I've looked on their wiki entry. I've looked everywhere. I cannot find when it opened. The copyright on their website starts in 1997, though, and that sounds plausible.
Yeah.
It's owned and operated by a man named Mr. John Preble. That's all I know about him. Mm-hmm. He owns and operates the Abita Mystery House, and his name is John Preble.
Yeah.
That's it. We've discussed the entire sum of my knowledge about him. It was originally launched as the UCM Museum, which I went looking for what the acronym stood for and felt like a fucking idiot when I found out it just means you see 'em. You see them.
Yeah. You see them.
Museum. That's you see 'em, museum. And I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, that is a long road for that joke.
There were quite a few references to aliens throughout.
You know, oh my God. It was renamed the Abita Mystery House, which I'm just going to say, better name.
Yeah.
In 2007. Though they still label the museum part, it's both a gift shop and a museum. The label the museum part, the UCM Museum, but the official name is the Abita Mystery House now.
Right.
For the whole, and it's really not one building, as we'll get into. But yeah, it features over 50,000 different items. Most of them are found items, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Just things from dumpster diving. Let's just call a spade a spade. Dumpster diving, finding it along the side of the road, finding it in trash.
But there's also a lot of sculpture involved.
Yeah.
There's tiny figurines that are sculpted. There are, like, interactive portions to it as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's much, much more. There's the folk art.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of what you were describing. The figurines. They do a lot with shards, like broken shards of tile and glass. They like to put it with stucco and make cool patterns. Stuff like that. As you said, they did have a lot of interactive items. They love their interactive stuff. If you like pushing buttons,
this is the museum for you.
This is a very button-heavy museum.
Yeah.
Lots of buttons. And some of them do very small things, like turn on a light. Some do very big things, like operate this entire complicated marble contraption.
Yeah.
Like they all do different things, but there's tons of buttons here for you. There are some historic items. There's some fake taxidermy. Obviously fake taxidermy. It's meant for comedy rather than, actual taxidermy. And a lot more. I mean, if I were going to use a word to describe it, random would be the word. If I were going to use 2 words, Louisiana random, I think would be my 2 words.
Yeah.
And Crystal's looking like, yeah, that actually works.
Yeah.
Because it's very Louisiana.
Yeah. It's very Louisiana. It's very random. It also feels very claustrophobic because there's so much stuff.
Yeah, even in the areas that are fairly open, it feels claustrophobic.
Yeah. Because
it's not a very big piece of property. It has, I think, 5 buildings, they said, on it, and one of them's not accessible to...
2.
Oh, yes, right, 2.
The artist studio and the current project that's being worked on. Yeah.
But there are 2 buildings that are not available. Everything else is spread across the remaining buildings that are on this fairly average plot of property, for being honest with each other. It is an experience, and we're going to get into more details in a minute. But the first thing you'll notice when you walk in is the gift shop. You enter and exit through the gift shop.
Yeah.
Get you twice.
We started looking at the gift shop and then decided we don't want to carry stuff through it, so we'd get it on the way out.
Yeah, and we did.
Yeah.
But that gift shop, I swear, that was actually, in my mind, one of the best gift shops I've ever been in.
Yeah.
And
it felt like part of the museum.
It did. It felt like part of the museum. It fit with everything else that was going on perfectly.
Yeah.
Almost all the stuff was made by local artists. They didn't carry much merch. You could buy hats, I think it was.
And buttons.
But you couldn't buy it. I don't think they had, like, T-shirts.
No, I didn't see any T-shirts.
And the main thing is, this is a great lesson for what the types of things haunts can carry in their gift shop. It's very interesting stuff, and it's entirely eclectic. And then if there's any drawback of it, it's how confusing and random the gift shop was. But name of the game, right?
Yeah.
But I have to say, my favorite thing about it, and this is because I'm a cheap bastard, is how affordable it was.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, when people think roadside attraction, they think expel all your money, because there's what they're going to try to do. They're trying to just take you for everything, right? That's the whole game, right?
Sometimes, yeah.
We're trying to fleece the stupid tourists and travelers, right? Well, not here. Tickets are just $5 for adults.
Yeah.
And the gift shop was incredibly reasonable. We literally spent more on lunch than we did at the Abita Mystery House, and we did not shy away from buying shit in the gift shop.
No. including a jawbone knife made from an alligator.
Yeah, and
jaw.
that costs $20 by itself.
Yeah.
$10 for the tickets, and probably $10 or $12 for the rest of the gift shop stuff.
Yeah, and we bought a lot.
Yeah. The jawbone was the only expensive, quote unquote, expensive item.
Yeah.
But no, it was incredible how relatively inexpensive all this local artistry was.
Mm-hmm.
I really was impressed by it. So yeah, that was great. The one thing I wish we had known was to bring quarters.
Yeah. I wish there were a big sign, and there may have been, but there was writing everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how they can signpost things.
No. But I wish there had been a sign when you buy the tickets, or that the person that gave you the ticket, I say ticket, but it was just really go on through the door. It was permission to enter.
The invisible ticket.
Yes, the permission to enter would have said, hey, do you need quarters as you go in?
I'll sell you a roll of quarters for $5, whatever, $10 or whatever, right?
No.
Because about 5 to 10% of the items, the buttons, the aforementioned buttons, were coin operated. Believe me, we were still not going for buttons to press.
No.
There were plenty of buttons for us quarterless folk to press.
Right.
We were not let down, but about 5 to 10% of the items did require a coin, and we didn't have any. I mean, the last time we carried cash, I think it came in seashell form. But yeah, there was no change machine in sight. As you mentioned, the cashier didn't warn us. And apparently this is a meme about the Mystery House that I was just completely unaware of somehow. Because I mentioned that we were there, and several people were like, don't forget your quarters.
Yeah.
I'm like, already did. Thanks a fucking bunch.
Well, would have been if we'd known, but we did not.
Yeah, we can't forget what we didn't know. But so yeah, if you do go, don't forget your quarters. Bring a good roll. Hey, good for punching anyone that annoys you. So the main thing about this, though, was we went to this wanting to get ideas for our haunt, but also to think about in the context of haunting in general. And to that end, I'm going to break that up. I think we should break it up into two parts. First is our thoughts for haunting in general, and the second is how we're taking this information and applying it to our haunt. Yeah. So start on the macro, get on the micro.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, first, the power of trash.
Yes.
Oh my God. Nearly everything there was trash, at least originally. I mean, even the stuff, we talked about the art. Yeah. Even the stuff that went into the art. Right. Was often trash originally. Yeah. Like the aforementioned shards. Those were almost entirely architectural discards. You could tell that they were just getting buckets of broken tiles, broken glass pieces, etc. Right. Well, a lot of the little figurines, not the handmade ones, the obviously handmade ones, but the toy airplanes and things like that were from broken toys. Yeah. And the structures that were built inside the display cabinets was probably made out of recycled cardboard. Yeah. So, yeah, nearly everything in there was trash. And look, I get it. Haunters are natural dumpster divers. If haunting had a flag or a seal or something, there would have to be a picture of a man diving into a dumpster on it to truly represent the haunt community. And it's just a thing we do. But the people at Abita Mystery House took it to a whole new level. One of my favorite things was pervasive throughout. It was in a lot of the buildings, was taking broken keyboards and screwing them into the wall and ceiling. Since some of those keyboards were the classic IBM Spring keyboards from the 90s that are just so orgasmically good to type on. My God, we have not topped that. Yeah. Those were... I got to type on those, even if, I wasn't typing anything. I got to feel that sweet spring release. Oh, man. I can talk a lot about mechanical keyboards because I'm definitely a cherry blue switch kind of guy normally. Jesus, I love those IBM keyboards so much. And they were attached to the walls with bottle caps. Yeah, instead of actual washers. Yeah. Just drive the screw through the bottle cap. And it was pretty creative. I actually like the way they did it. I mean, I've heard of using bottle caps as washers before. Yeah. I've also heard of using pennies as washers. I wonder if they
if they talked to the Abita Brewery right down the road and said, "Hey, all of your used bottle caps you can't use anymore, come to us."
Yeah, I'm sure they have no trouble getting bottle caps in Abita Springs.
Yeah.
I'm just going to guess that one right now. But yeah, basically there was not a single inch of empty space.
No.
Anywhere. Like legitimately, like if you think like a TGI Fridays looks cluttered on the wall.
Yeah.
If you think my office looks cluttered on the wall, no, we can't compete.
Yeah. Well, and it's just it's actually a thing that makes me want to go back because I'm positive there was so much stuff that I missed.
Oh, I know I did. Because I have that compulsion to read everything.
Uh-huh.
And sometimes I get so overloaded that it just shuts down. But it's not like just that thing shuts down. Like my whole brain shuts down.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, wait. We're getting oversaturated here. Let's just go beep 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 mode for a bit, So yeah, I shut down, and I was in that state a while in the Abita Mystery House.
Yeah.
Because they
had lots of dancing skeletons.
Yes, they did.
That was fun.
Very creative mechanisms for making them dance too. Because they were all done with very simple electric motors.
Yeah.
But they would bend the wires in such a way to cause them to make some very complicated motions, despite the motor just doing circles.
Yeah. Exactly.
See, what else was there? Where are we?
We're at the great name.
Oh, yeah, the great name of it. The second item, the great name. I love the Abita Mystery House as a name.
Yeah.
I mean, I have no notes. It's a perfect name.
Yeah. It tells you the location.
Yep.
It's in Abita.
Abita Springs, yeah. But anybody that's in the area will figure it out fast.
Yeah.
It lets you know that it's not actually a house.
It's kind of...
I'm sure a house is part of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically you can go and you can actually go on their website, which, I mean, you absolutely should check out their website. It is like the most 90s web. I think they built that website in 97 and only changed the text as necessary. Did not overhaul the site at all. And, I mean, I should know. I was building websites in 95, 96, 97. So, anyway. So, yeah, you can see much of what is what's actually in the Mystery House there, and you can also see on their Facebook and elsewhere too. Doesn't matter. You're still gonna be curious.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. They could give away the whole goddamn thing, and they gave away a lot of it. Doesn't matter. You're still curious, and you should be. So yeah, we've been there, and we're struggling to describe it.
Yeah.
It's just, but yeah, I also love their marketing in general because I have never seen an ad or a social media mention or anything from them. Have you?
No. Like I said, the only thing I saw was that tank of gas list.
Yeah, a couple. It is on a couple of those,
and they even have signs in there. Please tell your friends about us. We get people from word of mouth.
Well, apparently, if we had watched American Pickers with any reliability, we would have seen them in 2013.
Yeah, we don't.
Yeah, but we don't watch that show. We watched it. I mean, I'm familiar with the show. I've seen a few episodes of it. That's the extent.
Yeah, basically either one of our sets of parents have it on occasionally when we're over.
Yeah, both. That seems to be like our parents, our respective sets of parents are so different. But that seems to be like the Venn diagram between them is that show.
Like they could sit and watch this together for days.
They could sit. I think they could sit and watch American Pickers, Law and Order.
Yeah.
I think that's about it.
Yeah.
I think we just found it. So yeah. But yeah, basically, they've just relied on word of mouth and those silly lists and so forth to get the word out. I don't think it's a strategy that really could work for haunts, because what that does is it gets a lot of people curious, then they trickle in over time. A haunt needs large crowds in very short periods of time.
Right.
Where, like I said, the Abita Mystery House has all year. They're open pretty much every day.
Yeah, unless you are a year-round haunt.
Yeah. But if you're a year-round haunt, you're probably operating in a tourist area, and then you've got to work on grabbing them. You know what I mean? Basically, though, we went there on a Saturday during what should have been, I would have thought would have been a fairly busy time, mid-afternoon.
Yeah.
And we saw, like, 6 other people.
Yeah. 2 other groups, basically.
Yeah. Well, I think there was one group
family
of
and
one family
couple.
and one couple, yeah.
Yeah.
And of course the girl in the gift shop. I don't know how she wasn't dying of heat stroke.
Yeah.
But anyways, so yeah. But here's the thing I was thinking of: a roadside attraction might be a good addition to a haunt.
Mm-hmm.
Because here's the thing: the cliche has been that haunts open escape rooms or axe throwing or something like that. It's like there's like three businesses that haunts go into when they want year-round income: escape rooms, axe throwing, and ghost hunts.
Yeah.
That's like it, right? Well, here you go. Build a roadside attraction should be your fourth, and it can work for haunts that cannot or should not do an escape room, because an escape room really does require either a huge population or it requires a tourist economy. People are constantly coming and going. You have a lot of haunts, like Rise is the one that leaps my mind locally. Big haunt, really, really good haunt, but it is in the middle of fucking nowhere, and it is nowhere near a tourist destination.
Yeah.
And so they opened escape rooms. They were great escape rooms, but they were escape rooms because they've been sold off to other places because they had to shut it down because it just didn't work. And it didn't work because of the location. I bet they could do a roadside attraction.
Yeah, I bet they could, because, enough people go up to Abita, and we know that the people there are there all the time over at Rise. It's not like they're not there already. But but no, I mean, you could even do it as a roadside attraction to your haunt, to just the history of your haunt. You've got old props you can't use, or you've got a whole bunch of stories that you've done over the years, and you could put all of that together and make a compelling story.
And we've seen what Jim Warfield does with Raven's Grin, which we're getting back to in a minute, I assure you. Basically, he has it almost kind of like a roadside attraction most of the year.
Yeah.
Where it's just him running the haunt, and whoever shows up or doesn't show up gets what they get, right? That's what happened to us. We got there on a random Tuesday in the middle of summer. We were it.
Yeah.
But during haunt season, the actual Halloween, it's run more like a traditional haunted attraction with other actors, a team. So yeah, you could theoretically do something like that too. I think, maybe Jim Warfield is a business genius, is what I've come down to. and the Raven's Grin Inn thing came to my mind so much because the final point was this really felt like Raven's Grin Inn.
It did.
If you could imagine Raven's Grin Inn, but much smaller, with no Jim Warfield and no slides. And I get it, okay, it's not Raven's Grin Inn then, but shut the fuck up and follow along. We're working together here. But it has that same vibe and energy. The overgrown buildings and this, seemingly time and God-forsaken place.
Yeah. And it kind of is a time capsule unto itself.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is.
Yeah, it's. I really did like it.
Yeah.
It had a similar vibe and energy, and I remember when we got out of the car, I looked over and said to you, the last time I felt this way, or like at all, was Raven's Grin Inn.
Yeah.
And admittedly, it was a much stronger feeling walking up to Raven's Grin Inn, but the same tickle was there, if that makes any sense.
Oh, yeah. Small town.
I don't know, our cell phone probably isn't working. Jesus fucking Christ, North Shore.
Parking by somebody's house.
Looking at the kudzu, climbing up the goddamn building.
Yeah.
Getting ready to go into Lord knows what.
Yeah.
It's same vibe, same energy. Absolutely. All right, thoughts for our haunt. I think the main thing we got was the vibe and the feel we want. Because that's kind of the thing about, for us and our haunt, is we don't try to replicate anything.
No.
Because we want to be our own thing.
Yeah.
But we do sometimes try to capture vibes and feelings. And experiencing that, that's the vibe, that's the feeling. Now I know what we have to do.
Yeah.
And now I know kind of the way to kind of tap into that. And luckily for us, this plays to like all of our strengths.
Yeah.
Because small cramped rooms,
got it.
Check-a-rooney. We got those. Lots of cheap shit for decorations. Hell yeah, we got that. All of it mounted to the walls and the ceilings in less than professional ways. We don't know the professional ways. Yeah, bottle cap washers may be getting used this year in the haunt.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be surprised if it happens.
Mm-hmm.
Got to start saving our beer caps, I guess.
No.
Yeah, so I really do think that this could be a good year for us and a good theme for us as haunters. Like I said, playing to what we have and to our strengths as builders.
Mm-hmm.
This format really does work because, I mean, we have a 625 square foot garage.
Yeah.
It's going to be 4 rooms when we get done with the redesign. This is going to be tight. These are tight, tiny rooms.
Mm-hmm.
And all of the rooms at the Abita Mystery House, all the walkways, everything, other than maybe the very backyard area, was tight.
Mm-hmm.
It was assholes and elbows, and it was just us for most of it, you know. But so yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I'm very excited about this haunt build now because we get to play, like I said, to what we've always done kind of naturally. It's like in the past we've tried to recreate like a warehouse feel.
Mm-hmm.
And a tiny garage. That doesn't fucking work.
No.
But this roadside attraction, oh yeah, we can recreate the feeling of being cramped in with a bunch of random shit on the walls. We can do that.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, everyone, thank you very, very much for joining us this week. Really loved having you, and I hope that this was useful in some way, or at least entertaining. God knows it's been an entertaining weekend. This is the first weekend, I think, in the past 4 years or so that we've really had an adventure weekend.
Yeah.
I guess Transworld obviously was an adventure, and obviously Hunters Against Hate, but those were conferences. Those were events we were going to.
Yeah.
This is our adventure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's different, right?
It is, and it was especially with Transworld because I was working it. So this is something we chose to do.
Yeah, we chose to do this. We planned it. We executed it. We loved it. Oh, and now we forgot to mention real fast. After we did the Abita Mystery House, we went to the Abita Brewery, which was not far away at all.
No.
And we sampled some of their yummy, yummy beer that we don't have in stores even in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Highly recommend you do that too if you visit the Abita Mystery House. It is great.
Yeah, so we may be planning another trip up there next year where we'll probably do it in conjunction with the toy convention.
Yeah. Once again, show support, do all that.
Yeah.
But we're actually going to try to spend a day and a night in Abita Springs, I think. Because in addition to all the things we did do there, we saw antique shops. Mm-hmm. We saw other little interesting stores. It looks like a very cool place.
Yeah.
Well, once again, back into the closing for a second time. Thank you for joining us. It has been a wonderful time with you. Please do check out our other episodes. You can find us at hauntweekly.com, Haunt Weekly on Twitter, Haunt Weekly on Facebook, and youtube.com/hauntweekly. Pay special attention to that Facebook page. Announcements forthcoming. But until next time, I'm Jonathan.
I'm Crystal.
And we'll see you all next week, which is episode 384. That means it's time to do
the news.
We're going to see you then.